UFC Fight Night, Lemos versus Andrade, a full card prediction. We got 13 MMA fights on the card, a pretty weird main event between two very powerful Brazilian women's strawweights. Jessica Andrade, a lot of finishes on her record. Amanda Lemos, a lot of finishes on her record as well. So it should be a pretty good striking affair from Andrade and Lemos. Maybe a few takedowns from Andrade there, but yeah, pretty solid main event nonetheless. Maybe not up to par with some of the recent main events, but it's still a decent one. We got the veteran, the Carpenter, Clay Guida fighting Claudio Puelles at lightweight in the co-main event. Tanner Boser and Alexander Romanov at heavyweight. Two guys just right outside that top 15 of that division. Maycee Barber and Montana De La Rosa. I don't know how Maycee Barber won her last fight with Miranda Maverick. It was kind of a robbery in my opinion, but we're not going to talk about that too much. Manel, Kape, and Mudaerji banger fight at flyweight. Lando, Vannata, Charles Jourdain banger fight at featherweight. Then on the prelims, we got a lot of weird fights. Luis Cosce, Preston, Parsons at welterweight, a catchweight of 190 pounds for Jourdain, Wright, and then Marc-Andre Barriault. We got Dwight Grant and Sergey Khandozhko. Sergey Khandozhko has not fought in a very long time, so that should be interesting. Tyson, Pedro, Villanueva, another guy that has not fought in a very long time in Tyson, Pedro. Cameron Else, and then Aoriqileng right there. Cameron Else, another guy has not fought in quite a while. Marcin, Prachnio, Phillipe Lins. Another guy in Phillipe Lins that has not fought in quite a while. Then guess what? One more fight where the fighter has not fought in quite a while. Dean Barry and Mike Jackson. Mike Jackson has not fought in quite a while. So again, I'm going to keep saying it throughout this full card prediction. This is a very, very weird card. Mike Jackson's on a huge layoff. Phillipe Lins is on a very big layoff. Cameron Elsie's on a layoff. Tyson Pedro's on a layoff. Sergey Khandozhko is on a layoff. Marc-Andre Barriault coming in on short notice. And then the main cards, it's a little easier to understand. But there are so many layoff type of guys here in short notice fights. I mean, even Alexander Romanov is coming in on short notice. Marc-Andre Barriault's coming in on short notice. So this should be a very, very weird card for me. But yeah, let's just get into the predictions as we go on to the first fight here in the UFC welterweight division. Dean Barry and Mike Jackson in the welterweight division. Very weird fight, as Mike Jackson did win one fight 10 years ago by split decision against Frank Salinas. Then he goes on to fight Mickey Gall in the UFC, got submitted fairly easily in that fight. Then he fights CM Punk, and I think he won the fight, but it was turned to a no contest. So very, very weird stuff happening in the career of Mike Jackson, but he's been out for a 4-year time period, whereas Dean Barry, one of the best strikers from Ireland, joining the UFC, beating guys like Drew Lipton, Abdullah Al-Pusheri, and then Corey Samuels, only losing to Anthony Taylor, who's a very solid guy. He's a much better striker than Mike Jackson. I know Mike Jackson's he's 37 years old, he's 0-1. I mean, he barely beat CM Punk, for crying out loud. So, yeah, Dean Barry should go out there, just absolutely destroy Mike Jackson in the striking. And I'm expecting another TKO victory from Dean Barry in the first or second rounds. Marcin, Prachnio and Phillipe Lins in the light heavyweight division. Another weird fight. This is a very, very weird card to predict. First off, Phillipe Lins moving from that heavyweight division where he was 234 pounds the last time around, moving down to the light heavyweight division, about 20, actually almost 30 pounds down a weight class for Phillipe Lins. He is going to be the smaller opponent in height, but the longer opponent in reach, fighting out of American Top Team, losing most recently to Andrei Arlovsky and Tanner Boser, but got some good wins over there in the PFL, actually winning the $1 million. But this is a weird fight again, because the last fight was 1 year, 9 months ago, and he's moving down a weight class, so we don't really know how he's going to look in this new weight class, if he's going to be faster, if his striking is going to be cleaner. I don't know. We can't really know for a guy like Phillipe Lins coming in here after that long layoff and moving down a weight class. But it should be interesting. 81% going Prachnio. It is much closer than that. In my opinion, the betting odds as of right now have it fairly even, minus 111 for Marcin, and then minus 103 for Phillipe Lins. It's a fairly even fight, because Phillipe Lins could just go out there, use that size, use that strength, come forward and just start throwing haymakers and knock out Marcin Prachnio, who has been prone to getting knocked out, as he got knocked out by Sam Alvey, not a good look, Magomed Ankalaev, and then Mike Rodriguez. So yeah, Phillipe Lins is a very, very live dog to just go out there and get this knockout in the first or second round. Would not be surprised in the slightest. But Marcin Prachnio is going to be the overall better striker. He's going to be the faster striker, in my opinion, with that more karate style like striking, where he's kind of bouncing all over the place, looking to land those kicks at range. I mean, we saw what he was able to do against Ike Villanueva and Khalil Roundtree. His striking was looking very legit in those fights. Maybe it was a little bit slow-paced at times, but every now and then he would land some really big shots, knocking out Ike Villanueva on their fight. And with the fight with Phillipe Lins, all he really needs to do is keep on moving, stay on that back foot, land the body kicks, land the leg kicks, land the jabs, land the counter punches as Phillipe Lins is coming in, and playing that counterpuncher role for a full 3 rounds here. So yeah, Phillipe Lins needs to go out there and get the knockout. I don't see it happening, although if Sam Alvey can do it, yeah, Phillipe Lins could do it. I'm going to go Marcin Prachnio decision. It's not like a super confident pick, because I could 100% see Phillipe Lins going out there, pressuring Marcin and knocking him out. But my prediction there, Marcin Prachnio by a unanimous decision. Aoriqileng and Cameron Elsey in the flyweight division. Cameron Elsey, another guy, like, this whole card has so many guys coming in on either short notice or they have not fought in a very long time. Cameron Elsey is kind of one of those guys. The fight before his fight with Kyler Phillips, he was on a 2-year layoff. Then he fought Kyler Phillips. That was a year and 6 months ago. Yeah, he was fighting on the regional scene, getting a lot of good knockouts, TKO, submission wins every now and then, but he got pretty much dominated by Kyler Phillips. I'm not saying that Aoriqileng is anywhere near the skills of Kyler Phillips or anything like that, but I don't know if either guy right here is really UFC caliber, as they're both 0-1 and then 0-2 in the UFC. Yeah, Aoriqileng did lose to Jeff Molina, very solid prospect, really good striking and things like that, and it was a close fight, very, very close, but then he lost to Cody Jourdain by mainly getting out-wrestled in that fight, which makes this fight with Cameron Elsey just a little bit closer, in my opinion. Cameron Elsey is a solid grappler, he's a solid wrestler, he's got good jiu-jitsu submission skills and things like that. He can definitely hop on a choke in this fight 100%, but yeah, I'm going to go Aoriqileng. I think that fight with Cody Jourdain, he got taken down because Cody Jourdain is a very, very solid wrestler, much better than Cameron Elsey. I think Cameron is the better jiu-jitsu guy than Cody Jourdain, but I don't think he can consistently take out Aoriqileng throughout this fight and mix it in on the ground. I think this would be a striking fight. I do not expect a finish from either guy, although maybe Aoriqileng could get a knockout, but I think Cameron, fighting for his job here, is going to be trying to just not get finished, to be honest with you, and I think Aoriqileng will outstrike for 3 rounds to a decision. Really good fight in the flyweight division. Tyson Pedro and Ike Villanueva in the light heavyweight division. Very interesting fight. I mean, both guys here, I'm going to be honest, whoever loses is out of the UFC, 100%. Ike Villanueva, he got knocked out by Chase Sherman, who's not in the UFC right now. Jourdain Wright, who is also fighting on this card, but it has a losing record in the UFC. He beat Vincius Moreira right there. I mean, it was an okay win, I guess. Then he lost to Marcin Prachnio by knockout, as well as Nick Negumereanu by knockout as well. So he's what? 1-4 in his last 5 fights. Is not really the best look for Ike Villanueva. So for this fight here with Tyson Pedro, they're both fighting for their lives in the UFC octagon, because Tyson Pedro joined the UFC. He beat some solid guys, Paul Craig, Saparbek Safarov, and then I believe there's one more UFC win over Khalil Roundtree right there, but he did lose to solid guys as well. Alir Latifi, that's a guy that's kind of in and out of that top 15 of the heavyweight division. Ovi St. Preux, former interim title challenger Mauricio Hua, former champion as well. So he's fighting legit guys and losing to them, but that was a long time ago. That was back in 2018. It is 2021. That is 4 years or 3.5 years of a layoff for Tyson Pedro, but it should be an interesting one because Ike, we haven't really got to see how good his wrestling and grappling really is, as most of his fights is either he's getting the knockout or he is the one actually getting knocked out. And I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of people are saying Tyson Pedro by submission, because, I mean, Kimura submission on Saperbek Saparov, Khalil Roundtree submitted so many guys on the regional scene, but he got a TKO win on Paul Craig right there, so I'm not fully ruling out the possibility of Tyson Pedro getting a knockout here. It's 4 years long for him getting out of MMA, so maybe that striking has improved significantly since the last time he fought with Mauricio Shogun Hua. So I know the logical approach to this fight would say Tyson Pedro is going to take down Ike Villanueva and submit him, but I'm going to be honest, man. Tyson Pedro, I think he wants to prove something in this fight. I think he wants to prove that he's not just one of those guys looking to take you down, submit you, TKO you. I think he's going to go out there and try to actually strike with Ike Villanueva, and I think he's going to knock him out, man. If that does not happen, of course, I think Tyson Pedro can still go out there, take the fight down, and beat Ike Villanueva there, but I think he's going to go out there and try to prove his striking is legit as well after this long layoff. So I'm going to go Tyson Pedro by a first or second round knockout. Really good fight in the light heavyweight division. Dwight Grant and Sergey Khandozhko in the welterweight division. Sergey Khandozhko, another guy. I mean, this whole card, as I'm saying, so many guys coming off of very long layoffs. Sergey coming off his last fight 2.5 years ago. Before that, beating Rostam Akman, Adriano Rodriguez, and then Miller Couto. And then lost to some guys on the regional scene. Same height, but a little bit of a reach advantage for the older, much older Dwight Grant, who just recently lost to Daniel Rodriguez by knockout and Francisco Trinaldo by a split decision. So, this is a weird fight. I mean, I'm gonna lean Sergey Khandozhko to win the fight. I think he is gonna have the grappling and wrestling advantage. He has the experience advantage. He's got very good spinning kicks. I mean, even if he did not get that knockout win right there against Adriano Rodriguez, he seems to throw that spinning kick to the body so many times. Spinning kick to the body, spinning kick to the head. It really doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure somewhere in here he's got like a spinning kick to the face knockout. I mean, it's yeah, there's a head kick knockout there, and I believe there was one more. I'm forgetting if there was one more spinning kick to the face. But yeah, the man is a crazy kicking game. Really fast, snappy, powerful kicks to the body. The leg kicks are really good. He's a very good counterpuncher on the feet. And when he wants to, he can put on some good pressure in the striking as well. So I do think the striking is going to be very even here. I might favor Dwight Grant just ever so slightly, maybe landing the more volume in the fight, but I think Sergey Khandozhko is going to put on the pressure here on Dwight Grant, and with him having a layoff here, I think he's going to want to go out there, just pressure, and try to put in the wrestling and grappling. I don't know if you can be super confident striking with a guy like Dwight Grant, who almost knocked out Daniel Rodriguez in their fight a year and a half ago. So if I were Sergey, just pressure, put on that volume, land the takedown, and grind it on the ground. That would be the game plan, and that is what I do think is going to happen. Sergey Khandozhko by a unanimous decision. Jourdain Wright and Marc-Andre Barriault in the catchweight division of 190 pounds. Just a little bit over that middleweight limit. 30 years old and 32 years old. Height advantage going Jourdain Wright. Reach advantage going Jourdain Wright. And the guy that's not taking the short notice is going to be Jourdain Wright. Marc-Andre Barriault, yes, he does have some pretty crazy cardio, so I don't think that's going to matter too much. With it being a short notice fight, I think it kind of cancels out a little bit there, but yeah, I think Jourdain Wright is going to be the more powerful striker. He is the just better striker overall. He's taller, he's lengthier, he's slightly more powerful, and Marc-Andre Barriault coming in in his last fight with a knockout loss to Chidian Njokuani, I think he's going to be a little bit more hesitant coming in on a guy like Jourdain Wright, who we saw go out there, knock out Ike Villanueva, Jamie Pickett, Gabriel Checo. I mean, so many guys he's going out there and just landing some really big shots and then knocking them out. So Marc-Andre Barriault, yes, he's usually like that Sean Strickland type of guy, coming forward, putting on a heavy pressure, looking to out-volume you, out-cardio you for the win, but again, he is coming in on short notice. Jourdain Wright is overall the better striker. He's the more powerful striker. He's taller, he's lengthier, and most likely, for a lot of you guys, you'd probably think Jourdain Wright by knockout here. That is what a lot of people are thinking. 78% go with Jourdain Wright by knockout. But Marc-Andre Barriault, that loss to Chidiajikwani, that is a powerful man. That was a crazy overhand right that Chidiajikwani landed. I can see Jourdain Wright landing a knockout here, but I think Marc-Andre Barriault is going to be a little bit more tentative to actually get hit with those huge shots that would knock him out. So I'm going to say the fight goes to a decision here. I think Jourdain Wright is going to outstrike him at range, use the height, use the reach, use those powerful shots every now and then, uses karate little style that he likes to use in most of his fights to slightly edge out 2 of those rounds and win the fight by a 29-28 decision. Luis Cosce and Preston Parsons in the welterweight division. Both guys, I believe, 0-1 in the UFC, with Luis Cosce getting knocked out by Sasha Palatnikov, Preston Parsons getting knocked out by Daniel Rodriguez. Of course, the worst of those 2 losses is going to be the one to Sasha Palatnikov. Because he's not in the UFC. D-Rod is pretty much a top 15 UFC welterweight. But this is interesting because Preston Parsons has a lot of advantages. He has the height advantage. He has the reach advantage. He has the grappling advantage. He has the cardio advantage. He has so many advantages in this fight. He has the experience advantage ever so slightly. But Luis Cosce does have the striking advantage, which does make it very, very interesting. So, I think Luis Cosce could go out there, knock him out in the first round, kind of like how Daniel Rodriguez did. But Preston Parsons just being the much better grappler, having that cardio, if he survives that first round, he can easily take down Luis Cosce and finish him on the ground. So, I think this is one of the underdog picks that I'm going to have on the card, as Preston Parsons is at plus 150. So, almost a 2-1 underdog there. But yeah, I'm going to go Preston Parsons a later finish. Let's go 3rd round submission. Preston Parsons by a 3rd round submission. Really good fight in the welterweight division. Charles Jourdain and Lando Vannata in the featherweight division. This is a banger of a fight. I'm going to say that right now. This is a banger of a fight here. 26 years old and 30 years old. Same height and a little bit of a reach advantage for Lando Vannata. Pretty much the same exact record, except for maybe 1 more loss and then 1 more draw for Lando Vannata. But this is going to be a banger. Lando Vannata is one of the best kickboxers here in the featherweight division. Charles Jourdain, one of the best Muay Thai guys. Got really good knees in the clinch, good elbows, very good pressure, very good volume. I mean, really good power as well. But let's kind of sector this into who has the advantages where. Charles Jourdain has the advantage in the clinch. Charles Jourdain has the advantage in volume. Charles Jourdain has the advantage in terms of power, I would say as well. But Lando Vannata has the advantage at range. If Charles Jourdain is not able to put on that pressure, put on that volume, Lando Vannata could just keep on moving, use his movement on the feet, and just stay at range and kickbox with Charles Jourdain and get a decision win. Very likely that could happen in this fight. But Charles Jourdain, if he can defend the takedowns, if he can put on the pressure, he should definitely win this fight. And Lando Vannata, he's not really like a super good wrestler. Yes, he could go out there, land a few takedowns every now and then and win the fight on the ground. Very likely he can do that. But it's not like he's going to control Charles Jourdain there. It's not like he's a super good submission guy or anything like that. So, aside from maybe a fluke submission win for Lando Vannata, like what happened in the Julian and Rosa fight, I see the fight staying on the feet, and I see Charles Jourdain having the overall better striking, putting on the pressure on Lando Vannata, using his power, his volume, and his pressure on the feet to win at least 2 out of the 3 rounds. I think this one goes to a decision, and it's going to be fight of the night 100%. Charles Jourdain by a unanimous decision. Mudaerji and Manel Kape in the flyweight division. Mudaerji is a very legit guy. He did lose to Luis Smolka by armbar, then lost 1 fight before that to Hao Bin Ma by a submission. So I don't know how after that loss he got into the UFC, lost 1 more fight, and then kept on fighting, but it's shown to be a very good thing, as he beat Andre Sugmamthath by unanimous decision, Malcolm Gordon by knockout, and then Zaruk Adasheva by unanimous decision. He is going to be the taller, very, very much lengthier guy than Manel Kape, and he's going to be the better kicker. He's got really good karate type striking, in my opinion, really good body kicks, leg kicks, front kicks, things like that, and he's really good at that Wonder Boy step back right hook onto his opponent. So this should be more of a counter punching game for Mudaerji. That would be the path to victory. It's just stay on the back foot, have Manel Kape come to you, and just keep on moving, counter, leg kicks, body kicks, and do that for 3 rounds to a decision. That is how Mudaerji would actually win the fight. But for Manel Kape, only thing he really needs to do is put on the pressure. He did not put on the pressure against Alexandre Pantoja. He did not put on the pressure against Matthews Nicolau. He started to put on a little pressure on Odi Osbourne. That's why he got the knockout. And he put on the pressure on Zhalga Zhumagulov. So when Manel Kape is really putting on the pressure onto his opponents, coming forward, throwing big shots, and not really just trying to time that one perfect shot, if he's really coming forward, throwing those shots, he can easily win this fight. Mudaerji is one of those guys I've noticed with a lot of his body kicks and things like that. He lands the body kick. I'm going to try to explain a little bit, but he lands the body kick and his body is back like this. So every time that Mudaerji is throwing one of those body kicks, if I were Manel Kape, I would eat that body kick, like just clench, eat that body kick, and as you're coming forward, Mudaerji likes to bend back when he does the body kicks, and his head comes right back to center line for Manel Kape. So I think that Manel Kape, with the power that he does possess, I mean, all of those knockout wins, the left hook, the right hook knockout wins over here inside of Ryzen, I think it's going to be very likely to land after Mudaerji's throwing those body kicks, because he throws them, his head is so far back, then he just springs forward. If Manel Kape can time that shot, that right hook or that left hook, as the head is coming back to center line, dude, it's going to be a nasty knockout, because he's always off balance as well. It's always a body kick, he's on one foot, his head is back like this, he comes back, and he's going to be very off balance, his head is going to be very loose, coming back up right there. It's going to be a nasty knockout in my opinion. That could happen, I mean, it could just be a 3-round decision, but I have a weird feeling for this one. I think Manel Kape is going to land exactly the knockout that I'm talking about. As soon as he throws a body kick, his head's going to come back after he throws it. Manel Kape landing a right hook or overhand right on Mudaerji, knocking him out in the 2nd round. That is the prediction there in the UFC flyweight division. Maycee Barber and Montana De La Rosa in the flyweight division. Maycee Barber, did she win her last fight? Because I'm really not too sure about that. Miranda Maverick by split decision right there. She's 23 years and 11 months old. She lost to Roxanne Modafferi by unanimous decision and Alexia Grasso by unanimous decision. She did beat Jillian Robertson and JJ Aldrich, so those are very, very solid wins there. But she's going to be the smaller opponent in height, smaller opponent in reach, and Montana De La Rosa is going to have the wrestling and grappling advantage. But is it going to be that big of an advantage? I don't really think so. I think this one right here for Montana De La Rosa, yeah, she's a good wrestler, she's a good grappler, but so is Miranda Maverick, who really was not able to go out there and control Maycee Barber on the ground. If Miranda wasn't really able to land the takedowns efficiently in their fight, I don't think Montana De La Rosa will really be able to. So I'm assuming this is going to be 3 rounds of striking. Maycee Barber having the power advantage, the volume advantage, the boxing advantage. She's just going to keep the fight on the feet, put on that pressure, put on that volume, and win at least 2 out of the 3 rounds. Maycee Barber outstriking, defending the takedowns, and winning the fight by a unanimous decision. Tanner Boser and Alexander Romanov in the heavyweight division. Alexander Romanov, pretty young for the... I'm just kidding, he's not really too young, but he's in the prime of his MMA career, and he's undefeated, man. This is exactly what we need for this heavyweight division, because there's a lot of guys in this heavyweight division easily going up the ranks. Tom Aspinall, Chris Dawkins, just easy rises in that heavyweight division, going from like unranked to top 10 in like a year. And I think Alexander Romanov is going to be one of those guys. He had a few fights in 2020 inside the UFC, beat Roque Martinez, Marcos Rogerio de Lima, Juan Espino, and Jared Vandeira. Now, I think he's going to be Tanner Boser, and I think by the end of 2022, he's going to be in the top 10 of the UFC heavyweight division. I think with this fight with Tanner Boser, he's going to go out there, put on the pressure like he usually does, throw some really big winging shots on the feet like he usually does, and just take down Tanner Boser fairly easily. We saw Tanner Boser get taken down a lot against Ilir Latifi, who is a much worse wrestler and grappler, in my opinion, to Alexander Romanov. So I think Alexander goes out there, takes down Tanner Boser over and over and over again, and I'm going to go a decision here. I'm going to go 29-28. I think the 3rd round is going to be where Tanner Boser Boser starts to pick things up a little bit, starts to kind of have a feel for when the takedowns of Alexander Romanov start to come in, and he's going to be easier to defend the takedowns from Romanov. So first 2 rounds to Alexander Romanov, out wrestling, out grappling, ground and pounding a little bit, going for some submissions, and then the last round, Tanner Boser wins to a 29-28 decision for Alexander King Kong Romanov in the heavyweight division. Clay Guida and Claudio Puelles in the lightweight division. This is interesting because Claudio Puelles, he's done very good in the UFC, beat Phillipe Silva by knee bar, Marcos Mariano by unanimous decision, Jordan Levitt by unanimous decision, and then Chris Gretschmacher by knee bar. So he really does like that knee bar submission, but is he going to get it on Clay Guida? I can highly doubt that's going to happen, but I believe this guy will be a top 15 guy in maybe 3 or 4 years. I think he's going to find a few losses to the veteran type of guys like Clay Guida. He's kind of one of those guys that he could be in the top 15 in a few years, but right now he needs to develop the wrestling a little bit more. Needs to develop the striking just a little bit more. He can't just rely on that Jordan Levitt type of strategy, just taking him down and holding him there. He needs to develop the ground and pound, the striking, the cardio, and things like that, and he doesn't really have that against Clay Guida. He does not have the cardio that Clay Guida has. He does not have the wrestling that Clay Guida has. He does not have the volume, the pressure that Clay Guida has in this striking for this fight. So yes, maybe in a few years, if Claudio can develop the cardio, can develop the striking a little bit, put on more pressure, have better wrestling so he's actually able to land the takedowns or defend the takedowns against Clay Guida, he can definitely win the fight. But for right now, I don't think his wrestling is up to par for Clay. I don't think the cardio is. I don't think the striking is. I don't think the pressure is. The volume is. There's so many things going for Clay Guida here. I don't care that there's going to be a height advantage, a reach advantage. I see Clay Guida pressuring the heck out of Claudio Puelles and just destroying him on the feet. I don't think they're going to be too much wrestling because I know Clay Guida, being a veteran that he is going to be worried about that knee bar submission that Claudio Puelles has landed so many times in his career. So 3 rounds of striking, Clay Guida by a unanimous decision. Jessica Andrade and Amanda Lemos in the women's strawweight division. Surprisingly, Jessica Andrade is going to be younger here. That is crazy. 30 years and 6 months old. She is smaller. She is less in reach. That is something that you got to look at for the fight. But she's younger. She is in the prime of her MMA career, beating Katlyn Chookagian with a body shot. Cynthia Calvillo by knockout. Lost to Valentina Shevchenko, Rose Namajunas, and Weili Zhang. Champion. Every time she fights one of those contenders of the women's strawweight or the women's flyweight division, like Cynthia Calvillo, like a Katlyn Chookagian, she mauls them. I mean, she knocked out Chookagian easily. She knocked out Cynthia Calvillo easily. I mean, every time she's fighting these up-and-comers or the girls that are just kind of right in that race to fight for the belt, like Tisha Torres, Claudia Gadelha, Angela Hill, Joanne Wood, Carolina Kowalik-Ewing, all of these girls, Andrade just goes out there and she mauls them, TKOs them, and just does whatever she wants in those fights. Do I think that's going to be the case here? Not necessarily. I think earlier on in the fight, the first round, possibly even the second round, for Amanda Lemos, she could do very good here. I mean, Amanda Lemos is a legit striker. She's taller, she's lengthier, but that's only for the earlier rounds. Later on as the fight goes, that really is going to favor Jessica Andrade, who does have the more experience. 22 wins, 9 losses, a heck of a lot more experience than Amanda Lemos, and she's got the wrestling as well. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, but Andrade is very strong. She took down Rose Namajunas and TKO'd her in her fight, so I'm going to be honest, Jessica Andrade can easily go out there, take down Amanda Lemos in this fight, out cardio Amanda Lemos, out striker as well. I think wherever the fight goes, honestly, Andrade will have the advantage, aside from maybe the first round early on in the fight. But I do think first round goes Amanda Lemos, second round goes Jessica Andrade with the wrestling, and that by that time, Amanda Lemos is going to be a little bit more gassed from the wrestling. She's not going to want to go the full 5 rounds. She's going to be looking for that finish, and she's going to gas out a little bit too hard here against Andrade, and Andrade is going to sense the cardio diminishing from Amanda Lemos. She's going to come forward, and she's going to throw her Dan Henderson H-bombs, and she's going to knock out Amanda Lemos. So, first round, Amanda Lemos. Second round, Andrade out wrestling to kind of diminish the cardio of Amanda Lemos. Then the third round, Andrade landing some very powerful shots and knocking out Amanda Lemos right there. Really good fight in the women's strawweight division. As my full card prediction for UFC Fight Night, Lemos versus Andrade. I got Andrade by knockout, Clay Guida decision, Alexander Romanov decision, Maycee Barber decision, Manel Kape by knockout, Charles Oliveira by a decision, Preston Parsons by a submission, Jourdain Wright by a decision, Sergey Khandozhko by a decision, Tyson Pedro by knockout, Aoriqileng by decision, Marcin Prachnio decision, and Dean Barriault by knockout. Those are the predictions for UFC Fight Night, Lemos versus Andrade. And as usual, for anyone out there that does want to become a channel member, like literally right after I post this video for Lemos versus Andrade, we are going to put out every single money line bet and all of the parlays for the card. So as usual, if you want to become a member for only 10 cents a day or $2.99 a month, that is literally it, probably the lowest price out of any paid membership for betting on MMA. Just go to any one of my videos, the last 10 seconds right here, and click this profile picture on the left side. It'll bring you to another screen where you can definitely become a channel member. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, and everything like that. Turn on notifications as well, and if you want to become a channel member, you can definitely do so. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Let's go.